I'd never heard the word shaman until after my accident, when my guide introduced himself to me, sort of showed up like right where I was sitting behind my wheelchair. And it's also not something that anyone knows about in my professional life. I remember one time telling my guide that I don't want to be weird. I don't want to turn into one of those weird people. And his response was, then don't be weird. So it's not that I'm embarrassed by it, but I think some part of me on a really deep level is still an observer to everything that's happened to me. And so I don't know that I own it. I mentioned that me, Melissa, have nothing to do with this. I'm just the interpreter. I'm just the mouth. I'm the go-between so that the guides can get the work done that actually helps people. And it's weird. Let's just say it. It's weird. This is weird stuff. So what is it? What is shamanism? There was a study that was done decades and decades ago, I forget what year, by a man named Michael Harner, who, for his thesis, I believe, was writing about a group of villages, I believe, in South America, and realized that a lot of them were practicing the same religious ceremonies. These were groups that had never met each other. They had no interaction. But basically what he came away with was called core shamanism. Groups from all over the world were practicing exactly the same way. They had never ever had any way of knowing each other or learning about each other's practices or ceremonies, yet all of them practiced exactly the same way. When I was in Ecuador, I had the opportunity to meet with a native shaman in the rainforest, which was, my God, so amazing. And what I always found interesting was I can recognize when other people have abilities. I can see that in them. One would think that if you're an intuitive, that would be an obvious thing, right? You say you do this work, you should be able to recognize someone else who does this work. I've met a lot of people in my area who claim to do this, and I don't recognize that in them, and they don't recognize it in me. When I was with a shaman in Ecuador, he recognized me. It took 2 interpreters for us to even be able to communicate, because the dialect that he spoke isn't a written language. But he knew who I was, just like I knew who he was. I don't believe this is something that you can choose. People can practice shamanism. There are many wonderful rituals and ceremonies and structures within shamanism that I think are beneficial for lots of things. I think we've gotten away as a society from ceremony in general, and that's a loss to us. We used to celebrate so many things as a species, and now we really don't. Graduations, marriages, birthdays, but not the milestones like death. And that's something that's celebrated in shamanism. All of this, I think, has brought me to the place that I am now, where I want to bring that celebration to death. For the purposes of this discussion, shamanism is the movement between us and the spirit world. And in that middle space is where work gets done to heal, whether it's healing space, as in a property clearing, or healing the spirit through energy work that's similar to Reiki, or readings, emotional support for grief, being able to speak with a loved one who you've lost, or someone who practices what in shamanism is called psychopomp, which is like funerals and weddings. So while everyone can practice shamanism, not everyone is a shaman. This is not something I would have chosen to do. If I had opened a book and read about this, this is not what I wanted to be when I grew up. It isn't something that I chose, it's something that I am. And when my guide offered it to me and said, You have a choice of whether you want to move forward exactly as you are now. I was living in fear of all of the things that I'd seen that I felt a victim of, or you can move forward and take control of what's happening to you and step into who you are. And I made the choice to step into who I was. It wouldn't have changed if I had said no. I would still be who I am. I just wouldn't know what to do with what I have. So again, there's that weird part about taking ownership of something that you didn't earn. I didn't earn this, it's who I am. My certifications and the things that I do in my public life and my profession, I can take ownership of because I've earned them. I haven't earned this. It just is. So we'll talk a little bit over the next couple of days about what it is and how it can help. And I'll try to keep it as not weird as I can.